Thank you for watching this video. To best support the channel, please take a moment and click the subscribe button. Also, the links to purchase this fly and the materials to tie the fly are in the description. Today we are doing something a little different than we've done historically. We are going to be using ChatGPT to design us a streamer pattern, and we'll see how it plays out. We're putting in a prompt right now to have them design a single hook streamer pattern for fly fishing, and we're going to ask them to provide a detailed set of instructions. You can see the prompt gives us a great set of step-by-step instructions, and we follow them pretty closely. We make a couple of substitutions to make it easier for most people to have the materials on hand. Let's see how everything turns out. In the vise, we are throwing a size 6 streamer hook. It's a streamer predator hook from Partridge of Redditch. It's model CS51 in size 6. And we'll go ahead and grab our black 6/0 thread from Semperfli, and we're going to go ahead and start right behind the eye and then wrap back towards the bend of the hook. Once we get there, we'll trim off our tag end and get ready to tie in our first material. We will be tying in a single feather of marabou, and we'll tie that in. We'll measure it out to be 1 hook length in length and tie that in nice and tight behind at the curve of the hook, and then we're going to wrap our thread forward, trying to keep the marabou on top of the hook. And we'll leave about a 4 or 5 millimeter chunk behind the eye of the hook. That's going to be where we tie in the most of our materials at the end of the fly, and where we put our bait fish eyes on at the end. So now we'll go ahead and bind down nice and tight and cover up that white marabou with our black thread. We're going to continue to wrap over this until we cover up almost all of the white, if not all of it. We want to make it so we have a pretty uniform base for our flashabou body. As we work our way back, we're going to be ready to tie in our next material, which is going to be a strand of 0.3 millimeter silver wire. We're going to use that to rib our fly and wrap over our flashabou. The flashabou is one of the materials we decided to swap out. The GPT instructions were to use a silver braid or a pearl braid, but we decided to use pearl flashabou instead. So I'll go ahead and grab 4 strands of pearl flashabou and tie those in now. Once you tie those in, go ahead and just wrap all the way forward to where we tied off and cut off our marabou. And we're just going to cover up all of the white that we can on the way up. Now we'll go ahead and grab our strands of flashabou, and we're going to wrap those around the hook with nice tight touching wraps, and that's going to give us a great hollow shine pearl body for the midline of this fly. Just keep wrapping our way forward. And if you see any small gaps, feel free to unwind or just work your way back and forward until it's all covered up the way you want it to be. And then when you get to your thread, go ahead and catch your materials and tie that off with a couple of thread wraps and trim off your excess material. Now grab the wire rib and counter wrap it. So instead of wrapping over the top like I usually do, I'm going to wrap from the back forward to counter rib this and give it a more durable body. And then when you get to the thread, go ahead and catch your wire and make a couple of nice tight thread wraps. That'll allow you to pinch and helicopter off your wire to give you a clean break off point. From here, I'll just do a couple more wraps, and then we'll grab our next material, which is going to be some white bucktail. Measure that out so that it, from your tie-in point, it goes just barely beyond the end of the marabou. Cut those butt ends square. And then you'll go ahead and lay them on the hook and tie them in. Make sure those stay on top of the hook to the best of your abilities. And now we'll grab our next color of bucktail, which is going to be some pink. And we're going to measure it to be almost the same length as the white bucktail, just make it a smidge shorter. Square those ends off and tie that in. Now I got a little bit of extra length that didn't line up how I quite wanted, so I'm going to trim those pieces off so I'm not crowding over the eye of the hook. And now we'll grab our final color of bucktail, which is going to be an olive. And we'll follow that same process once again. And we'll tie those in right on top. And then we'll build up a thread head. You'll see some of the thread slipping around just a little bit. Don't worry about that. We're just building up our head and trying to smooth things down, tie things in nice and tight. By building up a uniform head all the way on this, it'll help lock everything into place, but we'll also cover up everything in a moment with some UV resin to lock things down even better. Next, we'll go ahead and invert our hook, and we'll grab a red saddle hackle feather, and we'll use this to throat our fly. Just taking the tip of it, and we're measuring it back so that we can get that tied in right on the bottom. Then we'll cut off our excess. And we'll move the materials back to where they should be and tie them in nice and tight. Now we'll flip our fly back around and we'll get ready to go ahead and whip finish our fly. And then we'll finalize it by attaching the eyes and UV resin. Once the whip finish is completed, we'll go ahead and trim off our thread. We're going to review everything, make sure it's in the right spot, and we'll get ready to put on our 1/4 of an inch bait fish eyes. And I just noticed I have a small piece of bucktail that's hanging out. Let me go ahead and grab a lighter and singe that real quick. Now that that's singed out, let's go ahead and place our bait fish eye on there. Stick that in place right behind the hook eye. And then we'll grab the other eye as well and stick it on the back side. Oh, it's stuck to my finger. Let's go ahead and get that to go back on there again. Now that those are in place, we'll grab some Raid Zap UV resin, fill it in behind the eyes, give those eyes something else to stick onto. Then we'll cure that with some UV resin. Or cure that with our UV light, excuse me. And then we'll go ahead, once that's cured up, we'll go ahead and put more UV resin around everything. Get those eyes to be locked into place, cover them up front and back, side and side, top and bottom. Kind of filling in all those gaps. Then we're just going to cover right around the back edges and all around the eyes to give them some additional durability. It builds up a little bit of a head on this fly as well. And then we'll go ahead and grab our UV light once again, rotate things around, and just sit there and zap it until it's all the way cured. I probably am curing this a little bit longer than is necessary, but it gives for a few extra seconds for me to talk to you guys. This fly is not going to be actively offered on the shop. It's going to be a request only style fly. So I'll have the link to the website down below, and then a link in the website where you can send me an email to request this pattern or any other custom patterns you want. Thanks for watching the Rainbow Delight Streamer video. Have a great day.